Alright, so we're watching a video by Kumo Bear, what should have been the best One Piece arc. To be honest, the best One Piece arc that I've seen was the best One Piece arc that I've seen was, what was the best One Piece arc? I think it was the when Luffy went to go save his brother, to be honest, bro. I don't remember any arc being as good as, I mean, a lot of arcs were super good. Like Water 7 was really good. A lot of people, bro, I be seeing people like defending Skypiea, but I really feel like Skypiea was just so trash. Out of all, out of all, like, out of every One Piece arc, bro, I feel like that's the most trash. And I did not, like, Alabasta was cool. I did not like Alabasta like that, but Water 7 was really dope. And then, yeah, I think the best arc was Annie's Lobby. To me, bro, it was just a lot going on there, bro. But we're about to see what this dude is talking about here. And by the way, I'm focusing on this deck, bro, because we're gonna see how good I can get with this deck. Because the other deck, bro, I don't know if you've seen the last video, but I was getting destroyed, bro, so bad, so fucking bad.
Good reason, it's just that good. Everyone thinks this arc is peak. If Marineford isn't your favorite, this one probably is. And I guess Oda must have been pretty happy with it too, because 10 whole years later, he decided to do something very similar. Another rescue arc where a member of the crew leaves the group, and that arc was Whole Cake Island. Now in some ways, this is a pretty bold choice, because living up to Water 7 is a very big expectation. And there's two ways to look at this. One is that Water 7 is so good that it's unrealistic to expect anything else to be better than or even the same quality as it, and that's totally fair because Water 7 is such an amazingly executed.
I'm not gonna lie, bro, I just didn't really like the fight, like with Lucci, and like I don't know, I remember when I was watching it, the fight was not that, like, it wasn't that good to me, bro. I'm talking about like the final fight, like with him and Lucci. To me, it wasn't that great.
Arc that is just not something you can go out and do again. However, the second way of looking at it, which is the one I lean more towards, is that Oda already has the blueprint for this type of arc that he can look back at. He can see exactly what worked, why it worked, and what didn't work. Especially so because this is not the same Oda as before. He now has 12 more years of writing experience. All things considered, this arc should be amazing, but it isn't. And that's not to say that this arc is bad at all. I think it has some amazing stuff in it that I'm gonna talk about, but it just frustrates me because it really should not have the issues that it has. Now, some of you might think doing a rescue arc again where a member of the crew just randomly has to leave like Robin did is a bit of a cop-out to try to recreate the magic of Water 7, but I really couldn't
I didn't
disagree
even think
more.
about
Maybe
that.
if someone like Chopper or Usopp left, I'd be like, yeah.
So what you're saying, that the Sanji arc could have been the best arc? I don't know. I mean, yeah, I think the Sanji arc could have been the best arc. I don't know, bro. I gotta hear this dude's side, bro, because the best arc, I don't know. That's like, I shouldn't have dropped the sparring. Now he's gonna drop his graveyard, whatever shit, and I don't really got nothing to combat that no more. Hopefully he do not drop it, bro. Nice. Nice.
What the fuck is bro cooking?
Okay.
This shit is not it.
This ain't it, chief.
But Sanji is the perfect and only character from the crew that could leave, because him leaving has been set up for years. Throughout so many arcs,
Set up for
Sanji has
years?
always put the lives of his
I didn't even
crewmates above
notice.
his own. Like when he boards the train in Water 7 completely alone without any backup against insurmountable odds.
Look, let's be real. Sanji don't get as much love as he's supposed to get, bro. I feel like Zoro be hogging all the love, bro.
all for the chance to save Robin. And the biggest example, when he wants to take all of Luffy's pain from Kuma. Zoro is the second strongest crewmate, and taking this burden is his job, and yet Sanji insists on doing it instead. Where Zoro wants to do it out of duty and loyalty, Sanji is insistent of doing it because of his low self-worth. Even in Sanji's first appearance in the story, we can find this character trait. Sanji denies himself happiness by refusing to leave with Luffy because he feels like he owes Seth, even though he doesn't at all. Once again, he's putting others above himself, even when it's completely irrational. For both Nami and Robin, they also had subtle character traits and moments that eventually made their leave from the group make a lot more sense in hindsight. And so Sanji leaving makes 100% sense. And I think the setup for this was incredibly well done, and some incredibly subtle character.
That took me by surprise, to be honest.
As much as this setup is really good, the execution does not deliver nearly as well as it should, and is so inferior to Robin in Water 7. And the issue occurs almost immediately as the arc starts, as Bed shows up to invite Sanji to the wedding. Now, obviously, Sanji wasn't going to just go along with this because he was told so. He already had attacked the Big Mom pirates recently. He's not scared of them at all, and is confident in Luffy becoming the Pirate King. So the story needed to come up with a reason to make him leave, which is when Vito whispers something in his ear. But what does he say? I don't know what he whispers to him because it's never revealed. I know a lot of people are just going to assume that he told him about Seth, but that doesn't really add up, because if we go to the scene where Judge reveals they have Seth's location, Sanji seems equally shocked and surprised, maybe even more surprised. Why would he be this surprised at something he was already told a few days ago? This is an issue because the reason Sanji decides to leave is never revealed to us, ever. Now, of course, we can just assume that Oda just messed up a little bit and that he actually did whisper the Seth reveal, because ultimately that's the only thing that really makes sense. But this creates an even bigger problem, and what is really my biggest issue with Sanji's journey in this arc: his reason or reasons for leaving. After Sanji feeds Luffy, Luffy asks him to come back, but Sanji still refuses and gives him 3 reasons for that. The first one is that he hurt and insulted Luffy, his captain. This is a good and fair reason that I like. But reason number 2 is that Seth's life is being threatened and is basically being held hostage. In my opinion, this is a terrible reason from a storytelling perspective because it takes away all the agency from Sanji. Yes, Sanji technically makes the choice to leave, but he doesn't really have a choice. I mean, he could choose to not leave the crew and let Seth die instead, but that's not really a choice.
Whatever.
Remember how I talked about Sanji not wanting to leave the Baradier because he felt indebted to Seth? Now imagine the reason he didn't want to leave was actually because Seth would die if he left. That will make the situation much less interesting because of course Sanji wouldn't leave. Why would he do that? He obviously doesn't want to let Seth die. That's just basic logic. Let's compare this to Robin. The reason why Robin leaves is because she thinks she doesn't deserve to live. She thinks she brings death and destruction to wherever she goes, and that she should die because she's not worth it.
You almost got me, bro. That goblin is strong, bro. I'm not gonna lie.
Of course, the government also threatened to kill the Straw Hats, but that's not really the same at all, as Luffy is a capable and strong pirate with a strong crew. The government's threat itself is not really a factor for Robin at all, more like an excuse for her to die, as she knows Luffy has a good shot at winning.
I want to live!
In fact, there's proof of this. When Robin stops lying to herself and declares that she wants to live, she has no lack of confidence.
That should get me chills down my spine, bro.
Believes in it. Seth, on the other hand, is an old man and is guaranteed to die if Sanji doesn't leave the crew. Seth effectively has a gun to his head, and if Sanji doesn't comply, they'll shoot him. And to make this issue even worse, we have the handcuffs. These will explode if Sanji leaves the island and make him lose his hands, meaning he can never make food again. Once again, obviously he's not going to go back to his crew. Doing so will kill his dad and blow his hands off. This is not a character-driven choice. It's a situation he was forced into disguised as a choice. But then, at the very last minute, his reason for not wanting to join Luffy has changed to something else again. We learned that Big Mom is planning on killing the Germa family during the wedding, and Sanji doesn't want that to happen. As much as he hates them, he can't let them die. Now, this muddies and complicates things a lot.
This is fucking bullshit.
Because Seth's life is still at stake here. Yes, Sanji has a new and different motivation now, saving his family from Big Mom, but that doesn't mean Seth is suddenly safe. In fact, saving the Vinsmokes is the only way for Sanji to protect Seth. If Sanji refuses to go through with the wedding and escapes with Luffy instead, Big Mom and Judge still have leverage on it and can kill Seth. As we know, Sanji and Luffy crashes the wedding, but Seth still survives and Big Mom doesn't kill him. This is because she most likely didn't care too much about that, and because the wedding is cancelled,
I want to kind of drag this out right now, bro.
Blackmail Sanji about it anymore.
Because now I got him low, so just like
this
if I
makes
just
it so
put
that
a
his
whole bunch of
choice to
shit to
save his
this
family
straight
is a
offend
lot
me,
less selfless than it originally seemed. When you consider that a big motivator for him to do
I
it
want her
is
to give
to
me
save
lower.
Seth, not his family. So when Sanji says he can't leave because he can't abandon his
he
family,
got
and
me
Luffy
lower.
responds
It's
with,
whatever.
それがお前だろ
Get it,
that
get it, get
isn't
it.
really
Nice.
true. Now, another issue is just how convoluted and complicated all of this hangs together. You probably lost brain cells just listening to me trying to explain it. These two panels are really similar in so many ways, and yet Robin's panel hits so much
know that
harder
pissed him
because
off.
the panel on the left is so tangled in plot mechanics and convoluted motivations. That being said though, I still think that Sanji's character throughout this arc is really solid. As much as he's been placed in some very messy and complicated circumstances from a story
I'm gonna
perspective,
wait to drop the
his
wizard up
reaction
there.
to these circumstances are really solid.
Did he
When
just give
Sanji
up?
makes food for Pudding and all he can think about is
think
making
he
her
gave
happy,
up.
that's probably my favorite moment because it's proof that every
Nah,
time he
she
has been
gave
willing
up.
to sacrifice himself for the crew before, it was 100% true. He had no hesitation. He's effectively trying to
Bro,
forget.
we forget Sanji was the first one to sacrifice his life, bro. Remember that one big moment with Zoro? I feel like it wasn't that big with Sanji because of the animation, bro. But at the same time, the animation was still the same type of animation there. I don't know. It just like Sanji had his moment, bro. But I just feel like he Oda didn't put as much, you know, just swag into it as they did for Zoro, bro. And remember when he got bolted by that one dude in Skypiea? Skypiea was the worst arc ever.
His previous life with the Straw Hats and sees himself as lucky to not only have been a part of the crew for as long as he did, but also lucky to get to marry such a beautiful wife. This again shows how low his self-esteem really is. He sees himself lucky to be in a position he's been forced to be in. The lighter panel is also a
I keep on
standout
putting
as
it
we
on the
really
wrong
feel
side,
sympathetic
bro.
and bad for him. I thought
They're
his
not wanting on
backstory
that
as a kid
side.
also worked really well
Fuck.
and gave us a believable reason as to why he is
Now
the
he's
way
gonna
he
try
is.
attacking
So yeah,
that side.
Sanji's journey in this has a lot of good qualities, but it also
Look, all
has
that
a lot of
damage
elements
could
that
have been
just
right
kind of
there.
suck ass.
That shit was ass.
And
So
because this
trash.
is the most vital aspect of the arc, it already means it can't be the best One Piece arc or as good as Water 7. Now, some people might bring up another argument as to why it's not totally fair to compare the two arcs, which is the Straw Hats. Because where Water 7 had the entire crew coming to save Robin, here the crew splits in half. And while I fundamentally just don't agree with that line of thinking, it's also just not really
Fuck.
true. Water 7 had a total of 7 Straw Hats if we exclude
Fuck.
Frankie, and Whole Cake has
got me
5,
with
which
that.
isn't
He
a
got
huge
me with
difference,
that.
especially not if we factor in Jinbei
Damn,
and Carrot.
he got me
I
with
think it's
that,
totally
bro.
possible to tell a compelling story about the Straw Hats, even though
Oh, he
not
gonna be an
everyone is
asshole
there.
too.
In
Okay.
fact, it should be easier
You can't
to
let
do
this
so
nigga
with fewer
slide.
members, so it doesn't have to try to give every single one of the 10 Straw Hats something to do. But with that being said, I truly think the most baffling decision made in this whole arc is which Straw Hats were chosen to be included in the arc. You would think that if a character was to leave the crew and only half of the remaining members could have gone to save that person, it would be the ones set up to have meaningful interactions with that character in the arc. I think Nami has good enough moments with Sanji, but I seriously cannot remember a single piece of dialogue between Chopper, Brook, Carrot, Jinbei, and Sanji. Why on
Yeah.
earth was Chopper chosen to be a part of this arc, genuinely? Since
Okay,
this is a
this
Sanji
dude-
rescue
This dude spinning some facts, bro. Why would they literally did pick like the worst characters. Like, yeah, they're all friends, but why did y'all pick the worst characters? I feel like they could have did some, like, it could have been some real ass storytelling if they had added like Zoro into that mix, bro. Zoro, you know, even Usopp, bro, because you know Usopp can relate to like You know, he abandoned his captain and shit. Notice how I did not let him use that ice trick on me
that would
again.
have worked way
Notice
better.
that, bro.
Like
He really thought he
Robin.
was gonna use the ice trick
Since
on me
these
2 times
panels
in a row.
have so many parallels, I think she could have had a bunch of interesting interactions with Sanji. She should know exactly the situation Sanji is in and what he's feeling. There's this great segment in Water 7 where Sanji boards the train to rescue Robin, but Robin completely shuts him down and denies him, and Sanji just can't understand why. There was a perfect chance to recreate this moment, but instead have Robin try to convince Sanji to come back. This would have further shown just how irrational Sanji's mindset in this arc was. Another person I think would be a no-brainer to include is Zoro. Now for me personally, I'm not a huge fan of Sanji and Zoro's rivalry. I think it's a bit of a repetitive gag that never really feels fresh or new, and that never develops or goes anywhere. Like the gag has been the exact same as it was 900 chapters ago. And so my favorite moments
I hate niggas like that, bro. I hate them. 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 I'm sorry, bro, but it just I hate these, bro. I hate bro. I hate opponents like these, bro, the most, bro. They act like assholes in the beginning, or maybe I just took it wrong. Maybe I just took it. Maybe I was, but that's my problem, bro. I overthink, bro, and I think the negative of things. Why didn't I think the positive? Maybe he was just doing those crying faces because, you know, he just enjoyed, like, fuck. Now, cause now look, she what I'm talking about. I just feel bad now, bro. I was being an asshole, and then he talking about well played. But it's like at the same time, would he have laughed at me if I just, you know, didn't do those laughing shits? Did he do that on purpose because he knew it would fuck with me mentally and morally and jeez, man.
Between the two are always the ones where they're either forced to settle their differences and cooperate, or when they have a legitimate disagreement, not just for the sake of a gag. Zoro is the only person who has seen Sanji being willing to sacrifice himself for Luffy when Kuma shows up.
That's what I'm saying.
So
Zoro
seeing how
gets
Sanji
it.
acts now by hurting Luffy and insulting him would give him a unique perspective on Sanji's actions that no one else has. When Nami and Usopp
I'm in a new arena. I didn't even realize. Oh snap. Yo, I made it to a new arena. Oh snap, bro. It's been how many years? Bro, I've been stuck in that same arena since like 2018, bro. Since like 2018, I've been in that same arena, bro. And we finally made it to a new arena. Oh my gosh, bro. But damn, bro, you know what sucks about it? That like the title of this video now, bro. I was planning on titling the video something about One Piece, but now I gotta title it New Arena. I don't know. We'll see how I feel. Yo, so I accidentally start recording. That's my fault. I don't know why when I click pause. You click the space bar and then it just like fuck.
Usopp left the group in the earlier arcs. Zoro both times allowed it to happen and was adamant that they shouldn't return. Zoro hates people that lie to themselves, and so to him, really got me it's less about what people are thinking and what their reasons for their actions are, but about what they say and what they do. When Usopp wants to join the crew again, Zoro refuses to let him join before apologizing. Usopp has said that he has left the crew, so in Zoro's eyes, until Usopp corrects that decision, he isn't a part of the crew. If Usopp just went back as if nothing happened, they would all be lying to themselves. In the same way Sanji's low self-worth finally came to a boiling point in this arc, this could have also been the moment where Zoro's moral code reached its own boiling point, and could have made their rivalry less than a repetitive gag and more of a real moment in the story where they actually had to work out their differences.
Is that
what if
why?
Instead of Luffy fighting Sanji here, Zoro fights him and doesn't hold back? Either that, or Zoro could have stepped in after Luffy loses. To him, until Sanji says otherwise, he is no longer a part of the crew and a traitor. By the end of the arc, before going into Wano, the two of them would have had a newfound...
That just made me think about it. Bro, I feel like Oda did that shit on purpose. He did that on purpose, bro. Because, think about it, bro. Just think about it. In Wano, he set it up already. He already had it set up in Wano. Oh man, bro, he literally only won that because I accidentally stopped the stream. I mean the recording, bro. You literally only won that because I accidentally stopped the recording, bro. Literally, bro. Guys, you seen it. Like you seen when I went back on when I put the video back on, that one of my towers were gone because I was focused on turning the fucking video back on. And hopefully the video is good, bro, because, I wasn't able to test it because I had to that's just so annoying, bro. That's why I don't press pause, bro, and I just use the mouse, bro, because it be like now. But damn, bro, like, think about it. The whole thing with the reason I feel like they did not put Zoro in, put him in that arc right there, because that moment would have had to happen where Zoro versus Sanji, where we actually see a real fight between them. But they're saving it. Oda is saving it. Didn't you see when he foreshadowed when Sanji like called Zoro on the snail, talking about that he might end up turning over, and if I turn over to the robotic side, the android side of me, or whatever that other side of him is, then Zoro has to kill him. Bro, we might, bruh. There's gonna be a huge, that's why, bro. It makes so much sense now, bro. That fight between Zoro and Sanji is going to happen, bro. It's gonna happen. And it's gonna be a big fight, bro. Because look at them, they're both damn near the same strong. Like, you've seen the person that Sanji went against, you've seen the dude that like Sanji went against Queen, and Zoro went against King. And both of them were over 1 million. So it's like, that this is gonna be a huge fight, bro. He's saving it, bro. I already know it, bro. I already know it.
Respect for each other, and finally altered their dynamic just a little bit. In Water 7, the
Damn, brought me right back to this.
Is one of the best parts. It's what sets itself apart from all the other arcs, and I don't see why that couldn't have happened here too. Luffy and Zoro could have had a legitimate disagreement on whether or not to save Sanji. Now, I don't need these things to happen for this arc to be good. I don't need Zoro to be there. I don't need Robin, and I don't need drama between the crew. Hell, I don't even need Luffy in this arc. This could have been a Chopper solo mission, and I'm sure that could have been a really strong arc, but this wasn't. It's so bizarre to me because Chopper and Brook have no reason to be in this arc. They get no character development, and they do not interact with Sanji
but they did
at all. In fact,
wait, hold
Zoro
up.
and Robin have no reason to be in this.
But saying that Brock got no character development, he did. But to be honest, Brock actually became the MVP of this whole arc. Like, he literally became the MVP, like, out of all the characters when he went against Big Mom, bro. That showed, like, how real Brock is, bro. Like, dead ass. That showed how cool of a character he is. Because I always thought that Brock could be a cool character when he first appeared. But after that, like, whole Big Mom thing, it made him even cooler, bro. It made me actually see him as a cool character and everything. So, yeah, they need to put some respect on Brock character development in that arc right there. He did put in some work.
This arc, they get no character development, and they do not interact with Sanji at all.
That's true, they didn't.
Zoro and Robin have no real reason to be in Dressrosa either. We could literally switch places with the four of them and nothing would be lost. Let's look at what Robin needs to do in Dressrosa. She needs to meet the Tontatas and help Rebecca in the fight against Diamante, both of which Chopper can do. In fact, I'd say he's more suited to meet the Tontatas. And what does Zoro have to do? Literally just fight this rock. That's the only thing he does. Of course, Brook wouldn't be strong enough to beat Pika, but just rewrite how Pika's ability work or make him a bit weaker, and that's all we need. Now let's look at Chopper and Brook in Whole Cake. What does Chopper do in this arc? Nothing. Okay, great. Replace him with Zoro. In fact, I think it would have been a better opportunity for Zoro to get trapped in the mirror dimension instead of Chopper. Chopper and Carrot keep getting lost in there, which is much more fitting for Zoro considering his terrible sense of direction. He'd be running around and getting lost more than ever with all the mirrors. Now lastly, there's Brook, who doesn't really get any character development or anything in this arc, but to his credit, he does get to do a lot of things. A lot of cool things. Things that made me go, wow, Brook? he's kind of all right. He's kind of clutch, you know? But still, I think basically all of these things are things Robin could do, and honestly done better. First, he infiltrates Big Mom's castle with Pedro and spies around. This is exactly what Robin does in Wano. He then finds the poneglyphs and
the way he keeps on spamming this dude.
You know who is very knowledgeable about poneglyphs and who would have just been able to read it? Yeah. And then his biggest moment when he breaks Big Mom's picture. This would have been so much easier for Robin to do. I mean, her devil fruit is like tailor-made for this. She could have just spawned a hand in there and thrown it to the ground. Now, I get that Oda maybe wanted to include Chopper, Brook, Carrot, and Jinbei because they're not like normal humans, which is kind of this arc in Big Mom's whole shtick.
Well, I guess
but again, at least do something with that in the story to justify this decision. The only attempt at this is when Brook sleeps with Big Mom and she wants to keep him as a pet. Wow, that's so cool, man. Carrot and Jinbei also have nothing to do with Sanji in this arc, but I gotta say, Jinbei is pretty fucking cool. The moment when he says he doesn't fear Big Mom and Big Mom's ability doesn't work on him is incredible and one of the best moments in the arc, even though the paneling is abysmally bad, but still. And I love the scene before this where Jinbei does actually fear Big Mom still. This humanizes him a lot more and adds complexity to his character. So even though he doesn't have anything to do with Sanji, I still enjoyed his contribution a lot. Carrot, on the other hand,
it's the biggest piece of dog shit.
I've talked about how mid Carrot is in the past, so I won't spend too much time on that here. She's bland, uninteresting, never gets any character development at all.
She was really uninteresting, bro. I can't lie, bro. She didn't really add much to it.
I don't think her seeing Pedro die counts as character development. So yeah, our heroes have a lot of problems going for them, but who I think has even more problems are the villains. First of all, there's too fucking many of them.
Yo, who is this nigga, man?
I know that Water 7 also has a lot of villains you kind of forget about.
Damn, you let me get that tower
one,
easily.
The arc is like twice as long. 2, it still doesn't have more villains.
We just focus on defending, bro.
3,
I'm no longer
every single one of them has a one-on-one battle
defense
against one of the Straw Hats. In Whole Cake, we have Big Mom,
Wait for lightning. Why did I do that?
Daifuku, Cracker, Broly, Amande, Perospero, Smoothie, Kingbaum, Montor, Oprah, Gillette, Randolph, Tamago, Flampe,
Damn, that is. I did not notice how much villains there were.
I could go on. How on earth am I supposed to get invested in any of these guys? Even this fucking door is a villain.
Yeah,
I get
ain't
that Big
lie,
Mom
that's
has
true.
like a million kids.
I wasn't really able to get invested in that one dude that looked like Luffy, where he had low-key the same powers as Luffy. You know what I'm talking about? The one that had the $1 million bounty. I couldn't really get invested in him because it just like there was so much.
Or whatever.
She belongs to the streets.
But I really feel like we could have given more spotlight to a select few characters and had the rest just kind of stand in the background a bit more. Like when Pudding and Sanji is making the cake, we get fucking Oven to pull up and try to stop them.
This nigga is trash.
A character we have just been introduced to. In fact, that's the only thing he does in the story. Why couldn't we have used an already established character to show up here? The same is kind of the case for Sanji's family. Like, did we really need 3 brothers when they're all basically the exact same character? The green guy is the only one that barely sets himself apart, but I could not tell you who is who between these 2 guys. This is obviously to show how they're all made to be the exact same as each other, but that doesn't make it any less boring. Judge is a fairly good character, I guess, but the real standout here is Reiju. She's been put into a situation she doesn't want to be in, but simultaneously feels like she can't leave. Very true to real family dynamics. What's interesting about Reiju is how many parallels she has to Robin. They have similar personalities, designs, both their name starts with R and is 5 letters long, and both want to die.
Damn.
And think that would be the best solution in their respective scenarios. This helps with this arc's theme of learning to confront the pain you're running from, which is also a part of the reason Jinbei's moment with Big Mom worked so well. Now, of course, Reiju isn't a villain. At the end of the arc, none of the Germa family characters are villains anymore. Only the Big Mom pirates.
That happened out of
nowhere. There is only one character out of all of these that is like legitimately good, and that's Katakuri. Everyone else is kind of trash, and he is real good. I think his fight with Luffy is incredibly solid, and the moment at the end,
bro, it's a cool fight, but it's like, oh, I ended up in the next arena. Okay, I don't know how that worked, but it worked. But nah, bro, I feel like his fight was cool. It just like I feel like I could have been way more emotionally invested in him if they like, you know, made more focus on just like a single character. But at the end of the day, bro, his fight was pretty cool. But still, I feel like it could have been way
where
more.
Luffy says he's gonna be the king of
Because
pirates.
you know when he
and
had that one
Katakuri
moment where he
responds
just
by
like
saying,
he started fucking with Luffy at the end.
This shit means something to me, man.
is easily the best moment in this whole arc. I love how they both keep giving the other good character moments in the fight in the natural way like this. They bounce off each other so well. Honestly, if Katakuri was the main antagonist of this arc, I'd be looking at it a lot more leniently. But that's just the thing. Unfortunately, Katakuri is not the main antagonist.
That's what I'm
Big
saying.
Mom is.
They could have made him
Honestly,
like
I don't
the
think Big
second.
Mom is too bad, but she's really not great either. It's a bit difficult to put my finger on exactly what makes me not like her that much, but I'll try my best.
I think
Firstly,
it's
I
her
think her
character
motivation
design.
is kind of trash. It's very superficial and childish, which I get is on purpose, but we never really see her strive towards this goal in any way after we get introduced to her, or see it get challenged. Luffy and the gang just run away from her and remove any chance of that happening, and when we meet her in Wano, it's completely forgotten about. Thematically, she makes perfect sense for the arc, but she's never explored properly. Instead, most of her scenes is just her talking about food, and all her dialogue is just
Yeah, those temperatures were kind of whack.
Can you just shut the fuck up for 30 seconds?
every time she gets her hunger pants, she just turns into a complete drone that has nothing interesting to say or do. I'll at least say that she felt more scary and intimidating than Kaido, especially with her soul fruit, which I thought was a pretty cool idea. So we get a lot of generic and flat villains, one mid villain, and an amazing villain.
I can't let
I
go
have
of my
not
defense,
yet
bro.
mentioned the best villain out of all of them, and the best part of this arc by far. Caesar fucking Clown. This guy is so fucking funny, bro. Easily one of the
You
funniest
like
One Piece
Caesar
characters.
Clowns?
It's just hilarious how comically evil he is and how he just wants to do evil and fucked up shit, but keeps finding himself
I
in
never
the
really
worst
fucked with him,
possible
bro.
scenarios. He's not
I
really
think the
a
reason
villain.
why I did not fuck with him a lot is because of the arc that he came from, bro. The arc that he came from was just not it to me. It is the arc that he came from, which kind of boring. Like, you remember
in this arc though,
Yeah.
which is honestly for the best because I didn't find him very good in that role, and this suits him way better. It's honestly such a shame we didn't get to see him in Wano, because every single scene he's in is a 10 out of 10. This arc honestly has a lot of smaller individual moments like these that I think are great. Like, for example, I didn't really like the whole forest sequence in the beginning.
Oh, yeah,
but
I hated
love
that.
it plays
I
a
hated
big
that
role
scene.
later in the story.
I
Like
hated
when
that
Luffy
part.
smashes the cake with all the clones, or Nami controlling Kingbound. It's such a fun gag that also serves as utility in the story. In fact, I love how much Nami is able to contribute to this arc. I love the moment when Luffy goes into the mirror dimension to fight Katakuri and Nami just says it's the captain's orders. It shows how much trust and faith she has in him. Her controlling Zeus is also really good because it's something only she can do. Remember how I said everything Brook did could have been done by other characters, and in some cases done even better? Well, this could have only been done by her, and is a big reason as to why it's so effective. There are moments like these sprinkled throughout the arc that makes me enjoy it a lot more than I otherwise would have, but unfortunately that's not enough. Whole Cake has a lot of good ideas and moments, but unfortunately it really fumbles the execution of the most important aspects. The Sanji versus Luffy scene is a scene I really wish I could enjoy, but I can't help but find it a bit hollow when one
That's
of the
some
characters
bullshit.
are effectively being forced not to be honest. That being said though, I think the pacing of this arc is a lot better and snappier than Wano, which is noticeably worse than this one, so make sure to check out this video to find
he
out
just
why
have my
that is.
peck of following everything, bro. That's how you distract.
Seasonal anime has just not
that's how
been
you
hitting
know
the
this dude
same
don't
for
really
me
got
for a
much
very
to
long
distract
time
me
now.
with,
It's
bro.
been ages since I
Unless
actually
his
watched something new
card
that I
was set in the
genuinely
wrong
thought was
direction.
amazing. There has just been a lot of
I was
okay,
leaking, bro. I
decent
was leaking.
anime
That's
that
my
I
fault.
couldn't even bother finishing, and I kind of got tired of it and took a break from seasonal anime altogether. But I kept checking the seasonal tab every now and then just to see if there was anything
Oh,
worth
this guy's
watching.
pretty good,
and
bro.
when I checked out this season, I was just blown away. There was so much fire stuff that I was just like, damn, I kind of gotta watch all of these. What I noticed most of all was that there was an anime that had gotten a ridiculously high score, which was Takopi's Original Sin. So I figured, okay, if there's any of them I'm gonna start with, it might as well be this one.
見覚えのない
Now, I already knew about some of the topics this show would tackle, which kind of put me off just a little bit. Because oftentimes I find that media that tackles touchy subjects like the ones displayed here sometimes gets praised simply for including those subjects or themes, and people will automatically say said story is good instead of judging it based on how well it actually explores those themes. But luckily I can say that after finishing the show, not only is it legitimately good, it's also just not really sad. To me, the story was never about sadness or how bad the characters had it or the things they went through and how bad they were. It was about happiness. Sure, there are a lot of sad things that happen, but that's not the point. The story is ultimately about how to achieve happiness. The show tells you this before you even start, because the show never tries to bask in this sadness or stay there for too long. Whenever there's a scene like that, it's quickly followed up with a very lighthearted scene with happy upbeat music and a completely different tone. Almost like the show is telling you that, okay, that scene was kind of dark, but let's move on now. We just had to show you that so we could deliver our message more effectively. And I must say that not only does it deliver that message very effectively, it's also a really good one.
That's what I'm talking about.
If you were kind of put off from this show because it seemed like some stereotypical trauma bullying story, I can promise you that it is a lot more than just that. I would even go as far as to call this show lighthearted. There was like I can't let him get to me. I can't let him get to me. When the story just took a completely different direction. 1 minute it's a time travel story, then we just switch main characters. I never knew where.
So is it this arena, bro? Is this the arena where the fucking assholes come in, bro? This is the negativity I was talking about in one of my videos, bro, where they just be doing all of this shit for no reason, bro. You could have just moved the lawn, bro. You didn't have to laugh in my fucking face. What the fuck was that, bro? So we're back into it now, bro. I hit this new arena and now it's just like a whole bunch of assholes now, bro. This is the third asshole I ran in today in this one video, I think. Or maybe it was a couple of other videos on. I think it was just one video, bro, where I ran into this much assholes, bro. One of them I actually felt bad for, but you know what? I low-key don't feel bad because I feel like he would have done that same shit right there, bro.
Where this was going. You don't even need to feel bad for the main character because it turns out she is a complete fucking psychopath. Kaiju number 8 is just a very solid battle shonen. This story basically takes Attack on Titan and My Hero Academia and combines them into something original, and it works really well.
I'm on a different complete video? Dude, I'm watching a completely different video, bro. My bad, y'all. I didn't even realize, bro, this video's going on 19 minutes. But this is gonna be a long ass video, bro. I didn't even realize. But we're gonna finish this game right here and then yeah. I didn't even realize, dog. Dude, why didn't nobody tell me? Like, we literally went 2 minutes into this video, bro. Let me just beat this guy right here. I'm gonna beat him, bro. Yep. Okay, now he gonna try that tactic. That's what he's gonna do. Just try to hit my other tower while I'm focusing on the other tower so then he can try to obliterate 2 towers. Dude, you got a full army? Do you got that full army thing? That full army thing. Where it just like, it is scattered around the whole, like, you know who I'm talking about? The bunch of knights or whatever. I already know what this dude's doing, bro. He's gonna attack the other side too, bro. I already know it. I gotta get ready for it. I don't know what he's gonna do, but he's gonna do something. And I cannot let that shit slide. We're ending this video off with a victory, bro. Cause we literally just got laughed at in our faces. I told you. I knew he was gonna do it. Oh, that was kind of a waste. But look, that's what you get. That's what you get, bro. Focus on one side. Do that. Focus on one side. They're focusing on 2 sides like an idiot. You waited that long to use your fucking P.E.K.K.A. Woo! You seen that combo? That boy's not getting near me, bro. I'm focused on the defense. And we taking that last one too. Thank you very much. Okay, bro. Oh my gosh, bro. We've been playing Clash Royale for so long, bro. I need to take a break. I'm going crazy right now, dog. Oh my gosh, bro. And we made it to a new arena too, bro. Oh my gosh, bro. Today's just a good day, bro. It's a great day. It's a great day, bro. Anyways, you made it this far, bro. I appreciate you for making it this far, bro. Why didn't you let me know we were watching 2 minutes into a whole nother video, bro? This video is for next time, bro. I'll watch this video next time. What is even playing? It said anime had never been this good. See, I wouldn't know because I have not been watching anime in a minute, bro. I've been off the animes, bro. I've been off the animes for a minute, bro. I've been off TV shows in general, bro. I haven't been watching a lot of stuff, bro. Just been lifing, but we'll get into it sometime later in life. But right now, bro, just Clash Royale, bro. Just Clash Royale. And some of these videos. This video is not even the video I'm trying to watch right now, bro. I don't want to get spoiled in any new animes. I don't know if he's gonna spoil or not. So, yeah. Anyways, yeah, I think I said it already, but I'll say it again. I appreciate you for making it this far. I'll catch you in the next one.